Thursday, December 16th, Just Baseball Show. Jack, Peter, we're going to keep on grinding through the Hall of Fame ballot because why not, right? And we got through all the junk that is in the first ballot, right? Mm-hmm. We got Alex Rodriguez there. We said, you know what? Like, that's the guy that gets in here. Let's talk about the people that have, in past years, accumulated enough of the vote to stay on the ballot. Everybody from the second year all the way to the 10th year has gotten at least 5% of the vote in each year they've been on the ballot. So these are like the guys that the argument is starting to really be made about their Hall of Fame case.
They're like technically Hall of Famers? No.
No.
I mean, like they're not technically Hall of Famers, but they are good enough to be on the ballot for another, which is an incredible accomplishment. Not only to make it to the ballot, but then to stay on the ballot. You are one of the great players of your era, and you will go down remembered by fans everywhere.
Kerry Wood appeared on the ballot for the first time a couple of years ago. And I remember Kerry Wood saying, like, yeah, it's going to be fun being on the ballot for 1 year. I'd be shocked if anybody votes for me. And I think somebody did vote for Kerry Wood, and he like gave a fist bump. He was like, let's go. I got my vote. I'm good now. I can die a happy man.
Another Cubs pitcher. I don't think Mark Buehrle was ever on the ballot, but I was going through pitching seasons. And in the early 2000s, he had some years where I was like, that was crazy. He had like 7-8 WAR years, like best pitcher in baseball type years. It's just injuries. And that's what happens with a lot of these guys. And we're going to break into a lot of these guys where if they had just stayed healthy, if they had put together 2 or 3 more years, they might be Hall of Famers, but they didn't. And that's why we're going over them.
Here's the thing, though. Mark Buehrle was always the gold standard of what not to do mechanically as a pitcher. Like, you would rank somebody. You would rank somebody like, sturdy as hell to Mark Buehrle. He was the very bottom of the ladder in terms of longevity as a pitcher, just because he looked like he was going to spontaneously combust at any given moment when he was throwing a pitch. It was a lot like Steven Strasburg. You know what I mean? Mechanically, It's called the inverted W, where you've got your elbows up and both your like hands down below your elbows. And it's just a whipping motion with your elbow. And it looks like your forearm is going to fly off your bicep and tricep on any given pitch. And that's Mark Buehrle's deal. It sucked, but he was so good with the Cubs. He and Kerry Wood in the early 2000s. Oh my God.
And talk about spontaneously combusting. I'm in Florida right now, and the weather is so whack. Like, it was 74 in the morning, and then there's an incredible monsoon of rain, and then it stops, and then it's sunny again, and then again it's raining for like 45 minutes. And also, I mean, living in New York City, global warming is killing us. I mean, it's like 60 and sunny in New York City in the middle of December. The weather is scaring me, quite honestly. The fact that it's so warm. I mean, I love it. I love it when it's just warm and I don't have to worry about the snow and you don't have to wear a winter jacket all year. But it's scary and it's happening like really quickly.
You know what you should do if you like that weather so much? I've heard California is a great place to live.
Yeah, I'm going to be back there on Wednesday.
Are you? Are you flying directly from Miami to Santa Barbara?
Yes, I'm in Boca Raton right now with Aram. We're doing some business.
So explain what you guys are doing. You're trapping yourself in a room with no lights on, and you're just creating a think tank for a week.
All of that. We do have lights on. You got to be able to see it. But yeah, I mean, it's basically a think tank. We got to cross some T's and dot some I's before we, move into the new year with the business, because you're seeing me make content all the time, but on the back end, we got to make this thing a real business. We got to contracts, equity. It would take too long to explain on this, but it's a lot. But it's interesting and it's fun, but it's somewhat stressful.
Are we looking at an LLC, an INC?
We are an LLC, and it's funny. We're Project the Plate LLC still. We just kept it because we loved it. So we're not just Baseball LLC. We're Project the Plate LLC.
I love that. And I'm thinking about the high school coach, right? The meme, somebody better give me my money.
Give me my money. Another thing, kind of concerned with money. I have something I heard.
Let's do it.
and this will relate back to some of the players that we're talking about, but that's not important right now. What's important is the something I heard. And the something I heard, it's not very long, but did you know that during Thanksgiving, around that area, it might be slightly dated, but it's only a week or two old, that Joe Biden, because obviously people are concerned with rising gas prices, he released around 50 million barrels of oil from their reserves, from the U.S. reserves, to combat rising gas prices. You know what Canada did? They don't have rising gas prices. I mean, they might have rising gas prices, but what this is concerned with is the fact that they have now had to dip into their maple syrup reserves. So they also, around the time, around Thanksgiving, early December, they dipped into 50 million barrels of maple syrup while the U.S. is imploding. Canada's running low on maple syrup.
They just need their sweet treats.
I didn't know they have reserves and like so much maple syrup in 50 million barrels. It's like scratching the surface with them. It's crazy. And I was reading this thing. They're talking about put more taps on trees. And it's all environmental. Like it's all about the seasons. And it's interesting. When I saw the fact that the U.S. and their gas prices and then Canada's doing maple syrup, I was like, oh, God, we're so fucked.
But like, that's their product, right? That is their export. You know, Canada is their maple syrup. So, you know, the oil rigs in Texas that we're blowing up and you say, oh, darling, right? I mean, that was our jam in the 1950s. But Canada, they found their divine liquid and they're just pumping it out worldwide. And of course they have reserves with that. Stop coughing. What are you doing?
I know. I got something caught in my throat.
That's okay.
My voice has to be golden. I can't just be coughing and sneezing.
Velvety and smooth.
And with COVID, I mean, the entire NFL is COVID. Everyone does. That's why when I'm looking forward to the Thursday night pick, like, I don't know who to pick. Chargers, Chiefs. I don't know who has COVID or not.
Right. How about, listen, just go against the Browns, I guess. Like, it looks like Case Keenum's the starter now with Baker out and Stefanski out. You have no idea.
But my brother is Case Keenum actually better than Baker Mayfield?
Maybe. I mean, Case Keenum, like, it feels like he just pulls the horseshoe out of his ass every time he needs to.
He'll cover. He'll cover.
My brother and I were going to go to Pistons Bulls on Tuesday night, but that was one of the two games that was postponed by the NBA because the Bulls have 10 guys in COVID protocol. That's 2 sets of a team on the floor. Like, that's your starting 5 and then your second string all out with the Coco. That's craziness.
It's craziness. And it doesn't seem like the vaccine matters because, I mean, I even saw that Cornell University, they're 97% vaccinated. And yet they're going on lockdown, like their whole school, because it's just the COVID outbreak. I just don't know what to do. We're in this similar stage where I don't know what to do.
Here's what to do. Get your shots, get your boosters, so you don't end up in the hospital and you don't die from COVID. Like, that is what the vaccine and the booster has done for everybody. So do that. And you'll be good. If you test positive, that sucks, but you've got tons of people testing positive right now. But on a completely unrelated to COVID note, guess what I'm doing tonight for the first time in my life?
What are you doing?
I'm calling a hockey game.
Dude.
I just kind of learned hockey. I learned hockey over the last 48 hours. I don't know much about hockey at all.
Yeah. What did you learn? Like, give me just the cliff notes of what you learned about hockey.
So, like, icing is when
this is a sports podcast.
Icing is when the puck passes 3 lines without anybody touching it. I think I knew what offsides was, so I'm good on that front. I know that you've got the neutral zone and the 2 attacking zones. Patrick Kane was really good for the Blackhawks for a while.
Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin.
I learned when I look at a hockey stat sheet, if you see PPG, it's not points per game, it's power play goals. Yeah, and SH is not shutouts, that's shorthanded. Yeah. So
because I don't see, I don't know shit about hockey because coming from California, we didn't even get an ice rink in our town until my senior year of high school. So when I came to Syracuse, I'm seeing all these people love hockey, and I'm like, oh, that sport's kind of sick. Like, playoff hockey is unreal.
You didn't say it right. Playoff hockey.
Playoff hockey. Should we talk baseball now?
Yeah, let's talk about the Hall of Famers. Let's talk about baseball again. We're touching on every first ballot guy that we have left. You've got the 3 remaining first ballot guys that we have not discussed. We are touching on 3 of the 4 guys appearing on the ballot for the second year. The only one that we aren't touching is Bobby Abreu, but we will get to Bobby Abreu next week. Don't worry about that. Why don't you start us off with the guy that has something to do with maple syrup?
Justin Morneau. The decision to put Justin Morneau, at least in my eyes, is pretty clear-cut. Let's start with the good, because this guy had an incredible 5-year peak. In 2006, he was on top of the sport. He hit .321, hit 34 bombs, drove in 130 RBIs, and came away with his lone MVP award. Then, from 2007 to 2010, he went to 4 straight All-Star games, and his 162-game average was 26 bombs, 100 RBIs, while slashing .292, .371, with a .519 slugging, with an OPS plus of 137. He really was an incredible hitter. But here's the reality. He ranks 95th all-time among first basemen in WAR at 27.2 on Baseball Reference, behind current players like Jose Abreu, Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Rizzo, Freddie Freeman. Even Brandon Belt has a higher career WAR. He just wasn't all that good of a defender. He only hit 247 career home runs. He finished 400 hits shy of 2,000 after concussion problems shortened his career to just 14 seasons. He's a Twins Hall of Famer, but I'm afraid this might be his first and last year on the ballot.
You shouldn't be afraid. You should know that it's coming. Justin Morneau, his career less than... Come on, dude.
The more I get into this, the more I like these dudes. Like, the more I'm just like, maybe they could get it. Like,
no. But like, let's be honest with Justin Morneau right now, because he hit fewer than 250 home runs. He had fewer than 1,000 RBIs, and he was a career hitter, 281. Like, that's not good enough. None of ours. I thought so too, because he won a batting title, but he won it in Colorado. So does it really count as a batting title if you win it at Coors Field? His MVP year.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say he hit 345 in a season, but it was only 81 games. Like, that was just like, we got to stay healthy more now.
Right. His MVP year when he was 25, that was in 2006. The guy hit 321 with 34 bombs and 130 driven in, which is really good. But somehow his OPS was 934, which is a great OPS, but it's not an MVP OPS anymore. I don't understand where he's lacking, because he's lacking in something walks. At all times.
Yeah, it's the walks. I mean, he hit 324, but I think his on base that year was 371.
Yeah,
it just didn't walk enough. But to tie it back into maple syrup, it's funny because Justin Morneau is now a farmer. And he was even asked, I'm reading this article from The Athletic, he was even asked if he wants to continue to play baseball, or like even if he likes baseball anymore. He's basically just like, no, I'm over it. My career is done. And what he does now, he's in Minneapolis on a farm, raising chickens and making maple syrup and selling it.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's what he's doing. You got to read this article on The Athletic. It's a great article. This is his quote. If I was 25 and you told me I was living in Minnesota on a farm raising my own chickens and cows, I would have told you were crazy.
I still think he's crazy, but I kind of want to go get a beer with him.
I do so bad. I just like him. Like, a lot of these guys, we highlight the best parts of their career and we let you know that they probably won't be a Hall of Famer, but that's not the point of this podcast, and that's not the point of this segment. It's not to just discredit people. It's to celebrate the players that were able to make the ballot and show you why they were phenomenal players and why you should keep them in your memory. So I just like him. Is he going to make the Hall of Fame? No, but whatever.
Yeah, no, it's going back and it's appreciating a good career, and that's what we like doing. We like appreciating guys RM gives me shit because I love the phrase appreciate greatness in real time. He gave me shit after the Fernando Tatis thing, but the reality is like, yeah, but you know what I mean? When you watch Nick Saban inevitably win the national title this year, you're appreciating greatness in real time, right? That is the guy that is coming for Bear Bryant's head.
Tom Brady is like 45. Right? Like we have to understand that LeBron James, Mike Trout, we're in the presence of guys who will go down in the history books as the greatest of all time long after we're gone. So it's like we get to watch them. We get to really absorb it all in. So appreciate that.
Right. It's like being at a fancy schmancy dinner and the creme brulee comes out at the end and you're like, fuck, that's good. You're not going to bury the creme brulee. You're going to savor it.
Yeah. Is creme brulee a Hall of Fame dessert? Probably not. But are you going to savor it?
No.
Oh, you think it is?
Oh, first ballot Hall of Fame dessert, creme brulee.
That's
first ballot.
I don't know. First ballot? See, yeah. You put a brownie sundae in front of me, anything with a brownie in it, that's my shit.
Creme brulees for the classy bitches like myself.
I'm not there yet. I'm not Hollywood like you are, Mr. Jackrick Mullen.
I'm totally Hollywood. I've been Hollywood. Let's talk about Tim Hudson, who is not Hollywood whatsoever. Tim Hudson played 17 seasons of Major League Baseball. Hudson debuted with the Oakland A's in 1999. He was a wide-eyed 23-year-old after a decorated career with Auburn. He spent nearly a decade with the Atlanta Braves, and he tied a bow on his career with an all-star campaign and a World Series ring during a 2-year stretch in San Francisco. Oakland was where his legacy started. In his rookie year, Hudson went 11-2 with a 3.2 ERA en route to a top 5 finish in AL Rookie of the Year voting. A year later, how about his first all-star nod? A 20-game winner. He finished second in AL Cy Young voting only to Pedro Martinez and his 1.74 ERA in 2000. What the hell? He'd finished top 6 in Cy Young voting 3 more times. He was a workhorse. 8 seasons totaling over 200 innings pitched. Hudson retired in 2015 with a career 3.49 ERA, 3.78 FIP, and 56.5 career WAR. He just skated by in year 1 on the ballot last year. He earned 5.2% of the vote. You need 5% to stay on the ballot, and he just got that in his first year. My guess is he stays on again, but he's not getting my vote because I look at the WAR. That's fewer than many guys that didn't get in. Frank Tanana, Brett Saberhagen, Cole Hamels. Hamels is still like, is he pitching? He probably won't get in, IMO. And the innings just don't really justify it. The only guy in the top 30 in WAR among pitchers that didn't throw more innings than Tim Hudson was Pedro Martinez. The innings aren't there. I don't think the legacy is there. And Tim Hudson, really, really good pitcher, not a Hall of Famer.
Not a Hall of Famer. My biggest gripe with Moneyball was the fact that the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, they didn't even really talk about the pitching in Oakland.
No.
Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, Barry Zito, like these guys, that was like a main reason the A's were so good back then. And it was like, no, it's just on base percentage, but like they had incredible young pitching.
Yeah. I mean, like they brought up, Isringhausen, Jason Giambi, Johnny Damon. Like they were like, oh yeah, they left. You got to remember that they had some hammers too. I mean, Carlos Pena, he was good, but like Tim Hudson, Barry fucking Zito in that curveball.
They were so good. Barry Zito was so good. And Tim Hudson was so good. And Tim Hudson probably had the best career of all of them.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Right? I'd say so too.
Also, Tim Hudson, pitching coach at Auburn. He was Casey Mize's pitching coach at Auburn.
Interesting. And ever since then, Casey Mize gets into the major leagues and he's good.
Is he? We've had this conversation. I'm sipping the Casey Mize Kool-Aid. Dude, you're with me. You got to roll with me.
I know. I like him. Everything I see, I'm like, oh crap. Like his stuff isn't that good. And it's like,
dude, it is. You look at the splitter. It's like, oh my God, how does anybody make contact with that? And then you look at Savant, and you look at the metrics, you look at the spin of it, and you're like, okay, that isn't gushing blood. But I mean, I just watch it. And I'm like, oh, that's that Casey Mize.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm in. I don't care.
Boom. Let's go. Casey Mize.
Yeah.
Tim Hudson's protege.
Yeah, I'm in. Casey buys. All right, but let's talk about another Twin legend. Joe Nathan is one of the more interesting players on the ballot. Was he super exciting to watch? Not particularly. Did he have electric stuff? Not really. Did he have a ton of playoff success? No, not even a little bit. But he's got an outside shot at the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to tell you why. He currently sits at 19th among all relievers in WAR. Not great, but it's right above Raleigh Fingers, who is in the Hall of Fame. Among those top 20 in WAR, he is one of 7 with a career ERA under 3. He's one of 6 with at least 350 saves. And among those 20, only Mariano Rivera, Billy Wagner, and Joe Nathan have a career ERA plus over 150. Even saying this, it will be very challenging for Joe Nathan to make the Hall. If Billy Wagner somehow doesn't make it, his chances are literally 0. He failed to throw 1,000 innings in his career. So you have to be so uber dominant to make it. And even though those stats I said earlier are extremely impressive, I'm still not totally sold that he was at that level of dominance. But nonetheless, Joe Nathan is one of the best relievers of the 21st century and deserves some damn respect on his name, honestly.
I agree with you. And Joe Nathan was like kind of the last guy that can go more than an inning to go get a save. You know what I mean?
Like,
You've
he's
got
way
guys
fucking better than Papelbon.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah, he should get.
Yeah.
I mean, if Papelbon gets -2 votes, Nathan should get 1. That's Jonathan Papelbon like does not sniff Joe Nathan. And Joe Nathan, you know, part of why I dinged Papelbon on our last episode that we did together was because he never had that crazy dominant season that earned him Cy Young recognition. And Joe Nathan finished top 5 in Cy Young voting twice. So Nathan was really dominant. He was top 15 in MVP voting one year. So he was the guy where like the Twins turned it over to him after Johan or Liriano went 7, and somebody, who cares who it was, bridged the gap through the 8th. And Joe Nathan came out in the 8th, and it said, oh, 6 outs. He's got it. Easy. He was really, really good. He was great as a reliever some years, but he was really, really good for pretty much the entirety of his career. Hall of Famers need to be solid. Great. Yeah. But Hall of Famers need to be great for the entirety of their career.
Yeah. And just to define what ERA plus is, because we haven't used that metric a lot, but I actually really do like it, because what ERA plus is, and I'm reading off the MLB.com definition so I don't screw it up. ERA plus takes a player's ERA and normalizes it across the entire league. It accounts for external factors like ballparks and opponents, and then adjusts it. So a score of 100 is league average and 150 is 50% better than league average. So for his career, he was 51% better than the league average reliever. So for example, Mariano Rivera's 2.21 career ERA was 105% better than the MLB average during that time he pitched in. It's including adjustments for park and league, which gives him, Mariano Rivera, a 205 ERA plus, which is the best of all time among relievers.
Yeah, that's really solid. What was Jacob deGrom's ERA plus this year before he got hurt?
Like 670 or something ridiculous.
I'm going to find it right now. But you know what? Before we move on from Joe Nathan, shout out Stony Brook, the pride of Stony Brook University on Long Island. Good for you, Joe Nathan, for making the Hall of Fame ballot. Claps up for Joe Nathan. Golf clap.
I actually think he's going to get 5% of the vote. That's a hot take, but I think he will. See.
Jacob deGrom's ERA plus this year before he got hurt was 373. His first of 2 Cy Youngs in a row, his ERA plus that year, that was 2018 when he had the 1.7 ERA and he was 10-9. His ERA plus was 2.18.
What do you think Jacob deGrom's ERA is since 2018?
Do you have the number?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at his baseball reference right now. I'll go since the start of 2018.
2018. Yeah, the start of 2018. Like, there's been a lot of years.
Was his first Cy Young 2017 or 2018? I just said it. I'm not remembering.
Not telling you.
Oh God. Okay. His first Cy Young.
I don't want that to skew.
Yeah.
Hey.
Is it 215?
194.
No way.
Yep.
Sub 2 ERA over the last 2.5 years, pretty much.
Yeah, COVID and all that stuff. And he got hurt in 2021, but yeah.
That's dumb. That's dumb.
Stupid.
Oh my God, that's so stupid. Let's talk about
also,
Torii Hunter.
You know who leads in home runs since 2018?
I saw this. Eugenio Suarez. I believe that because he hit like 45 in 2019.
Like 50 home runs one year. I mean, yeah, he really did go off. But when I saw that, I was like, huh?
Eugenio Suarez? Yeah. I thought it was weird that Max Muncy and Matt Olson were on that list too. I was like,
that's the thing too. When I was like, if you quizzed me on that, I would have only gotten Arenado and Nelson Cruz, who are the other two players on that list. So that 5, it's Eugenio Suarez, Nelson Cruz, Nolan Arenado, and Matt Olson and Max Muncy are both tied with 118.
Yeah, I guess who else would you guess right now, though? Because like all the home run leaders from this year are like 18 years old.
It was funny when I looked at the potential stat, I was like, in my head, I was like, is Edwin Encarnacion like somehow still on the list, even though like he didn't even play? Because it just seems like he pops up on every single home run leaderboard that we've seen in the past 21st century.
Right. Amen. Let's talk about Torii Hunter. Torii Hunter is one of the greatest defensive outfielders of all time. Roberto Clemente leads all outfielders with 12 Gold Gloves over the span of his career. Willie Mays comes next with 11. Ichiro, Andrew Jones, and Ken Griffey Jr. have 10 apiece. Then say hello to Torii Hunter and his 9 Gold Gloves. Craziest thing, all 9 Gold Gloves for him came in consecutive seasons. Torii debuted as a 21-year-old. He retired at the age of 39. That's 19 years in a major league uniform. 12 with the Twins, 5 with the Angels, 2 with the Tigers at the very end. This man finished 5 bags shy of 200 in his career. But 353 bombs ain't bad to show for a career either. Underrated that he hit 350 home runs. The 5-time All-Star won 2 Silver Sluggers. One is a 33-year-old with the Angels, and the other in Detroit at 37 years old. His career slash line, it doesn't look too hot. He was a 277 hitter with an OPS under 800. His 50.7 WAR are on the lowest rung of the ladder, considered to be Hall of Fame caliber. But listen, Torii Hunter was electrifying. Who can forget him robbing Barry Bonds in the All-Star game? And he's deserving of the 10% he got in his first year on the ballot in 2020. But the lack of wow factor offensively, paired with the lack of October heroism, is just holding me back from checking his box.
He's probably not a Hall of Famer. Hall of very good.
Hall of very, very good.
If Andrew Jones somehow doesn't make it, again, another guy who has 0 shot. Because Andrew Jones, I feel like, was just a better version of Torii Hunter. I think he was a better defender, and he had 434 career home runs. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. But Torii Hunter was not, I mean, that's not his only thing that he just hit home runs. But you talked about the slash line, the OPS plus. It's just not, it's not enough. And he was a phenomenal defender. He's going to continue to stay on the ballot. I just don't think he'll ever get 75%. But I mean, awesome. Like you say, I was surprised with 353 home runs, but then thinking more about it, I'm like, I'm not that surprised because he really was incredible for such a long time. Well, do you have any idea what his 162 average is? Because he did it 353 home runs in 19 seasons. So if I remember correctly, it was like 15 to 20, maybe 25 on a good day. That's what it felt like for Torii Hunter.
Torii Hunter's 162 game average here, 24 bombs, 95 RBIs, 13 bags, hitting 277 with a 793 OPS.
You know, it's not too shabby.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he just, I don't know. There was this wow defensively, but you know, you never really looked at Torii Hunter like he could be the best player in baseball.
I wonder if he leads MLB history in robbed home runs.
He might.
He might. 19 seasons in center field. He might be one of the greatest robber of a home run that we've ever seen.
100%. Yeah, like my thing is with Torii Hunter, with Joe Nathan, with these guys that are just missing. I vote that while the Hall of Fame stays in Cooperstown, there should actually be a Hall of Very Good in like Schenectady, where every guy that has ever appeared on the ballot just like, yeah, just has like a printed out picture on like black and white Xerox paper and just slapped on a wall in Schenectady. And it's like these guys all made the ballot at some point, really, but they never got in. Yeah.
I wonder who is the greatest player of all time to not make the ballot or to not make the Hall of Fame.
Is it Fred McGriff? We could dive into that. I mean, let's do that next week.
We'll go over that. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's an entire podcast episode. That's respecting the best podcast. That's the best of the rest. That's totally the best of the rest. It's like in the NBA, best players never to win a ring. You know, you look at Steve Nash, you look at Allen Iverson, you look at Carmelo Anthony, like those types of
Barkley.
guys, right?
Yeah.
Barkley. Yeah. So, Torii Hunter, not a Hall of Famer. Sorry.
You know who should be a Hall of Famer? Big Papi, David Ortiz. Let's start with the issue of steroids when we talk about David Ortiz's Hall of Fame case, because that's really the only reason he wouldn't garner at least 75% of the vote. David Ortiz's only connection to possible steroids came in 2003 when the New York Times leaked a list of names that supposedly failed a voluntary drug test. Names were meant to be kept anonymous, and we still don't know for sure what he actually tested positive for. He was not on the Mitchell report in 2007. He was not a part of the Balco scandal in 2003. So we can't actually ever prove he took steroids. He didn't fail a test. At least, not voluntary and not anonymous. But let's get to the goods. David Ortiz is one of the clutchest players in MLB history. He's a 3-time champion. He's a World Series MVP, an ALCS MVP, which is too many go-ahead or walk-off home runs to count. He is a 10-time All-Star. He finished top 5 in MVP voting 5 times as a DH. He surpassed the 500 home run threshold with 542 and stands with an incredible career slash line of 286, 380, and a 552 slugging percentage. He's one of the greatest hitters of the 21st century, and it would be criminal to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion.
Good point, Peter.
It's my opinion on it. He and Sammy Sosa, it's funny. There's such a difference in the way that they're compared in the steroid era, because from my research, it doesn't seem like Sammy Sosa actually ever failed something that wasn't voluntary. Like, he didn't say, like A-Rod failed, Braun failed. Like, these guys didn't fail. They were just caught up in it. And did Sammy Sosa probably take steroids?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like totally. But like there's other guys already in the Hall of Fame that have done steroids. Like, you think Pudge did steroids?
Yes.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Look at his frame. Like, look at his frame as his career progressed.
David Ortiz has like the least, like he's so well liked, which is important with the writers. Like, we don't think it's important, but how you are with the media, they remember. And especially his post-playing career days, he's just such a well-liked personality. And even as a Yankee fan, David Ortiz, I have the utmost respect. Probably the Red Sox I respect the most that I've ever watched. He was the definition of clutch.
I could watch Papi saying, "This is our fucking city," on loop. I could watch him saying that on loop. I mean, that was amazing.
One of my favorite Sports Center commercials was when he puts on the Yankee hat and then he sees the Red Sox mascot like walk by and he's like, "Wally, well, it's not what it means." I really do love him.
Yeah, he was always this larger than life character. And, every flaw that Manny Ramirez had on the playing field or off the playing field, right? Like, Papi kind of made up for it with like the smile. I mean, Papi, it's crazy to see that big of a man that hits a ball that hard be so jovial and well liked.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. That's a native of the Dominican Republic who a lot of people would say, like, oh, yeah, you're from Boston. Like that's what Papi
Literally.
is.
Yeah.
David Ortiz, like, is the peak Bostonian, and he does not sound like a Bostonian whatsoever. I'll never forget at the tail end of Papi's career, because like his last year, the way he went out was absolutely stupidly insane. I mean, Papi, as a 40-year-old, finished 6th in MVP voting, and I mean, he led Major League Baseball in OPS. He had a 1,000 OPS as a 40-year-old. This guy, I was at one of his games at Fenway that year, and he walked up to "Fuck With Me, You Know I Got It" by Rick Ross. And they didn't bleep out the F word. Like they just let it roll at Fenway. And I was like, what's going on here? But that's what Papi was. Like Papi just earned that. He could listen to whatever song he wanted walking up to the plate. I mean, he gets my vote 11 times out of 10. He was just
gets my vote 100%.
Right. He was larger than life. And you think about the security guard putting his hands up in the opposing bullpen when he hits that bomb in the ALCS. Like, there are moments here where, you look at the Hall of Fame and you say you need moments. Yes, you need the career accolades. He's got the career accolades. You also need the moments. And we will see you later tonight is a moment. Security guard throwing his hands up is a moment. His speech after the Boston Marathon bombing is a moment. Like, you've got all of this stuff. I mean, he gets my vote every time.
It's funny too. I was just looking at the stats in that last year. 86 extra base hits.
Yeah.
40-year-old hit 315, 48 doubles, 38 home runs.
He was like Tom Brady in Tom Brady City.
Legend. I mean, just a legend. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, 10 of his last 13 seasons, he had at least 30 bombs. 41, 47, 54, 35, 30. I mean, legend.
This is hard. This is so hard for me to look at with a non-biased lens. So I'm going to lean on you for the yes or no decision when I'm done. Okay. Mark Buehrle is my favorite player of all time. Like, I've made that very clear. I've recounted his hour and 54-minute duel with Chris Sale as a 35-year-old already. I remember watching Dwayne Wise juggle a ball on the warning track live on July 23rd, 2009. I remember April 18th, 2007 against the Rangers when he walked Sammy Sosa in the first inning, promptly picked him off on like the first pitch to the next hitter, and then finished off a no-hitter right after that. Mark Buehrle had 5 All-Star appearances, 4 Gold Gloves. That crazy between the legs glove flip to Konerko where he caught it with the bare hand on opening day. He got a World Series ring in 2005. This guy threw for 16 years in Major League Baseball. His rookie year, Buehrle worked out of the bullpen as a 21-year-old. In years 2 through 15 in his career, he never logged fewer than 200 innings. In his final season at 36 years old, he logged 198 2/3 innings. So he was so close to 15 full seasons of Major League Baseball, 15 years of at least 200 innings. He was a workhorse. He finished his career with a 3.81 ERA, 5 strikeouts per 9, and 2 walks per 9. Get on the mound, roll 3 ground balls in 5 pitches, get off the mound. His career WAR of 60 flat is sandwiched between Hall of Famers Jim Bunning and Hal Newhouser. It's less than 2 wins off of Juan Marichal and CC Sabathia. He was not a postseason performer. Despite the ring, he has an ERA over 4 in his playoff career. He only earned Cy Young votes once, and that was a 5th place finish in 2005. So the winner narrative isn't there. But my thing is the uniqueness of his game is, and I just fucking love him. He got 11% of the vote in his first year on the ballot. If any ounce of your being, Pete, wants to check him off, I'd love to have him on the Just Baseball ballot.
Okay. 60 WAR sticks with me. That matters. Everything else, I mean, dude, 3.81 career ERA, 1.28 career whip. Like,
I know,
understand that he was a workhorse.
Listen, the stats are all below average for Hall of Famers. But what did I just get done saying about Poppy, right? I said that Poppy had the stats, but he also had the moments.
Yeah.
Mark Buehrle had the moments.
But Mark Buehrle had plays. I don't know if he had moments. He had moments for you. I don't know if he had, like, David Ortiz.
A perfect game and a no-hitter aren't the moments.
I mean,
the Dwayne Wise
yeah, but that's Dwayne Wise catching it.
But Hawk Harrelson saying yes like 10 times in a row after that ground ball. God, I mean, is it just like me like having tunnel vision on this guy every time he threw?
Well, first of all, like, he is phenomenal. Like, I'm not going to say he's not. Like, he's a White Sox legend. But like, when I look at the rest of the ballot, like this ballot, they're the greatest players of all time. Like, there's incredible players, and especially if we're gonna be the podcast to kind of let these steroid guys in.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way he's gonna make it in over like him or Manny Ramirez.
Oh, well, Manny, but like, here's the thing.
Well, like, you have 10 spots. That's the thing. We only have 10 spots.
I know, Pete. When we fill out the ballot, and we get to 9, can we slap Buehrle on as the 10th?
if oh God. Like, there's just, I mean, we can go through it right now, like Scott Rowland or
no, we're not going through it
Barry
right
Bonds or A-Rod. Like, we'll make a decision later. Right now, it's a tentative no, but we don't know what, maybe our tunes change. Maybe he has a moment in the media before the next time we talk. Maybe he comes out and he's like, I know how to defeat COVID or something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to make it. But
I'm going to go crawl into a fetal position on the floor of my shower. And every link you need is in the episode description. And Peter, do you want to rip my heart out one more time?
Thank you, everybody.